Okay, I have anxiety. I've lived with it almost my entire life. Started very, very young for me. And with time, I learned, even though it was hard, to kind of manage it. I've worked on myself on many aspects. I hope that my testimony can help you live a better life with anxiety. At first, I didn't know what it was, and it started during my childhood. I think that because my parents have a past that is connected to a lot of like violence, war, fleeing, things like that, they have kind of passed on to me their fear. If you have a parent with anxiety, it is very likely, except if they do a proper, long, correct therapy, that they will pass it on a little bit. So I think that's where it comes from for me, but there are also other factors like the fact that I am not, let's say, a normal person from the neurological point of view, but I get to that in another video. From what I've read, anxiety seems to be genetical too. It comes from far away. Anxiety can also be triggered by a traumatic event. And during my childhood, it was very painful. I had a lot of insomnia. I couldn't sleep. Like I would cry my eyes out till something like 4 in the morning, and I was something like 8. So being 8 and having insomnia is terrifying because your parents are going to sleep and you can't do anything. There's nobody to stay with you and you're terrified. The bullying in school didn't help either. I was bullied from very early during my school years to, let's say, graduation. My parents had no idea what it was. They weren't really like connected to the psychology field. They took me to therapists, but it's like nobody could quite pinpoint the fact that a child being completely like terrified of the outside world may have anxiety. I didn't snap to the therapist I saw, and I kind of am mad about that because I think that it was pretty obvious when you see the way I was acting as a child that I had anxiety. Whatever. I do hope that today it is more closely monitored and that you don't hesitate to help a child when they clearly show signs of anxiety. The moment when shit went down, like a lot of mental illnesses, was the beginning of adulthood. I am still in the beginning somehow because I'm 23, but it started when I was like 18. I moved out to another city and my relationships weren't the best. And that's when anxiety decided to barge in and go, hello, I'm gonna ruin your life. I had panic attacks almost every fucking day to the point that I had spasmophilia, which means that I hyperventilated and had the imminent impression that I was going to die. It was a very dark period in my life. I remember waking up with like a literal ache in my lungs because hyperventilation had exhausted them, so it was painful to breathe. I'm grateful to my brain for like kind of erasing that part of my life. I remember going through it, but I don't remember really what it felt like, and I think it's better. So this thing continued for 2 years when I was like in another city studying, until we reached the breaking point. For me, the breaking point wasn't a horrible like panic attack or a horrible meltdown. Thankfully, it was when I went back from visiting my parents and I was in the bus coming back from the airport. And I remember looking at the sky, and the sky was really pretty. It had like this, you know, the colors that are in the sky when it's like dawn. And I remember looking at the person next to me. I didn't know the person, it was a complete stranger. And I told them, I think I'm gonna stop school. They looked a bit afraid, and at the same time I think that they felt it was like a breaking point in my life, so they went like, okay. I was like, you literally almost died several times these last weeks. We're talking about a school. Is it really worth it? Like almost dying or dying for school? Fuck no, it's not okay. I'm not gonna die for this. What kind of saved my life concerning anxiety is actually a skin rash. At that moment, the doctors thought that it was due to anxiety, and they were like, there is no other way, you can't avoid it, you need therapy. And I happened to live like literally 5 minutes away from Paris's most famous and renowned psychiatric hospital. The stigma around mental illness, it also affected people who suffer from mental illness, because you're like, oh, I don't want to be crazy, you know, even that's like a slur today. These are the thoughts that go through your head when you're told that you have to go to a fucking psychiatric hospital. I'm not going to post pictures because it was really gruesome, but because of that condition, my hands looked terrible. At that point, I thought that it was because of anxiety, so it kind of encouraged me to seek help. I'm an illustrator. I need to be able to draw. I need to be able to create with my hands, and it was so painful I couldn't even bend my fingers. And they were so helpful. They were so nice. They really took into account the fact that I didn't want to take medication. And they called me one day saying, oh, we're going to do group therapy of cognitive behavioral therapy. And I was like, what is this? And they're like, there is no medication. You look into yourself and you analyze your behavior, and that's how you get out of it. And I was so desperate. It looked so not like something that was never going to work. But I was so desperate, I was like, you know, whatever. And they were like, do you want to do it alone, or do you want to get into the groups we're putting together right now? And I was like, it can't hurt to be in a group. So I started doing this therapy. I'm not going to go too much into details, but basically, you're going to force your brain to take a step back and another when you're having like a panic attack. But by writing it on a piece of paper, you're going like to think about a panic attack you had recently, why it happened, how you felt. At first I was like a bit skeptical. I was like, I just literally wrote on a piece of paper, how is this going to help me? With time, your brain like kind of makes it automatical. And when you are in a situation that is very stressful, where you would normally have a panic attack, your brain, which has taken this habit you did of writing it down, is basically going to do it instantly. And all the steps back are being taken instantly, and you don't have the panic attack. Cognitive behavioral therapy saved my life. I really want to be honest on that point. It saved my life. It changed everything. It's not one of these therapies where you just go, sit and talk. Thankfully, it's not. It really works. At least it worked for me and for every single person who went through cognitive behavioral therapy, which I know of. I know it's really efficient with anxiety. It's really about persuading your brain that you're going to be okay. Because the problem with anxiety is that you are not really supposed to feel like you're going to die because of finals. You are not supposed to feel like everything is gonna be horrible if you don't talk correctly when you go and get bread in the bakery. You know that it's not going to be the end of the world if when you speak on the phone you don't really look completely in control. But your brain doesn't, and it's like you cannot harness your brain to calm the fuck down. After that, I had to take baby steps to make sure that the calm I had found stays there. I had to organize a lot to make sure that I was going to be okay on the long run, and I've tried to like put together 6 tips for you to follow to get better. Number 1, go slower than you can actually go. People with anxiety are very focused on the details, on everything. You know, you are like on full battle mode all the time. For that battle mode to actually turn itself off, you need to take your time. And I know it's painful, and I know you literally want to run to the end, but you can't. You have to make peace with that. You have to go slowly. And I promise it's worth it. Number 2, forgive yourself for having anxiety. When you discover that you have anxiety, you think that you did something wrong. When did I do something to convince myself that I was in danger? You cannot possibly blame yourself for having anxiety. You shouldn't. It's not your fault, and it's okay having anxiety. To be honest, unfortunately, today, so many people have anxiety. So many people, much more than the people who say I have anxiety, because many people don't actually know they have it. Number 3, if like me, you really liked coffee, I know it's bad news, but I don't know how to put this, at least for myself. Coffee, a cup of coffee, 1 cup of coffee equals panic attack. It's painful, I know, because coffee tastes so good, but we can't have it. I think it's worth it if you can have like a quiet, manageable life in exchange for a cup of coffee. Try to get into tea. I actually like discovered a passion for tea ever since I stopped coffee. I even found some teas that actually taste like coffee. I have to find the reference for you guys, but I think it's a Japanese tea that is made with a cereal, and that ends up tasting like coffee. Maybe you could try decaf if coffee doesn't destroy your stomach like it does to mine. You really need to watch what you eat because the vitamins, the iron, the proteins that you're going to take in are going to help manage your mental state. Drink plenty of water because when you are anxious, your muscles become very, very stiff, especially in the back. And a lot of this can be helped by drinking plenty of water. Try to take a 1-liter bottle with you and drink it all. If you have it near you, you will find that you are like thirsty more often because your brain is like, oh, water is nearby. Let's be thirsty. You need to avoid alcohol and addictive substances such as drugs because they are terrible on your mental state. I think you already know that, but I felt like it was necessary to remind it. As they influence your mental state, they can also break the fragile equilibrium you're trying to build to live with anxiety. Number 4, find the physical activity, no matter how small, that fits you and burn your anxiety in it. Now, for me, it is martial arts. I am hooked. My main martial art is Taekwondo, but I also did some Thai boxing. Look out for different types of physical activities. Maybe it's the gym, maybe it's running. You really have to look out because if you don't like running, it doesn't mean that physical activities are not for you. I hate running. If you went through PTSD and anxiety is part of PTSD for you, I strongly advise you to look for self-defense classes. Instructors are aware that a lot of people with PTSD try to take self-defense or martial classes to try and take control back. So you really can go to them and be like, okay, I have PTSD because like I was assaulted, because something happened. Or maybe you can just say, I have anxiety issues, you know, you don't have to be so specific. I would like to take control back and this is why I'm doing your class. And they will be extra careful with you. In my Taekwondo class, I didn't go really into detail, but I said that I had spasmophilia and that sometimes the cardio exercises were making me go into shock. And my master is so freaking amazing. He's like so caring. And even at the dojo I was before, people were so caring. That's what I really, really love about martial arts. It's the camaraderie. Everybody's united and caring about each other. Now I am done lobbying on martial arts. You can take whatever you want. Number 5, talk about it. Don't go to your mother and be like, I have anxiety, if it's something that is going to make you even more anxious. Just try, maybe, to talk about it. Not forcibly IRL. You can also talk about it online. Actually, someone I really, really appreciate, Sam Nichols, created a hashtag on Twitter to talk about anxiety and mental illnesses. It's called Talking About It. You can do it through an anonymous account. You don't have like to be out there and say, this is my name and I have anxiety. It can be hard if you are just coming to terms with the fact that you have anxiety. Just try to connect with other people because you are not alone. Many people have anxiety nowadays and we can support you. If you don't want to support right now, that's okay. Take your time, but remember that you are not alone. Number 6, know your enemy. Your enemy is anxiety. To better manage your anxiety, you need to learn about how it works. It can be really helpful to know what you're dealing with, and I really encourage you to learn more about anxiety. It can really help you make things a bit more normal. It's just, you know, it's a condition. It's something that happens. It can actually be helped and you can actually have a good life, a normal life. I hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope and I believe you will get better. And if you ever need to talk, I'm here. You can talk to me in the comments, via messages. If you like my work and you want to support me, you can do so on patreon.com/Maeril or on utip.io/Maeril. For those of you who want to support me but who don't actually have money, you will just need to watch something like a 30 seconds ad. I'm working on other videos on mental health and self-care, and I'm excited for you to see them. But now I need to get back to editing these videos. I'll see you around and hugs and kisses to you. Goodbye!